Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. Super glad to have you here, and today we're going to be in Dune Awakening and talking about some of the top 5 base locations that I've discovered since playing the game. A lot of these locations are going to be super great for massive guilds, as well as smaller ones where you have the opportunity to really flourish without investing too many resources. Some of them are going to be super amazing at water early on, others are going to be a utopia of massive amounts of resources. I'm going to have a little bit of something for everyone, so you guys have the best opportunity to make an awesome base in Dune Awakening. With that said, let's dive right on into it. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about one of my favorite base locations in the entire game. And this base location is a very peculiar one that you probably wouldn't come to expect to be very good, but it's this one here. And coming from Haga Basin South, we're going to come all the way up here, a little bit past the West Vermilion Gap PvP zone. We're going to be at the Cobalt location. And this is a very unique location because of a very special reason. Now, this is going to be a base that's super good for a lot of different players, but ideally if you're a smaller base or a smaller guild, this is going to be a perfect place setup for you. Now let's go over down to the bottom because this is where the base really shines. So as you can see here, looking at the bottom here, there is a mountain of flowers here. As you can see, you can gather all of this, and then coming into the base here, there is a mountain more flowers. And as you can see, this is one of the most flower dense areas in the entire game. And if you were to bring a Reaper here, for example, I think the yield that we get right now is close to 50k every time we do a full run every single night. Let's say, for example, you are a smaller guild and you get the Reaper eventually, you go to a high level zone, you get a Reaper. You can kind of build up a base similar to this and not necessarily have to invest too heavily into water. Now obviously getting the Reaper is not going to be necessarily easy. But if you do have a situation where you guys come here, you rush here, you get this base, lock it down, you have a mountain of water, you also have a mountain of different resource nodes. We'll fly over the area a little bit so you guys can have a better idea of it. I keep the volume down when I record. As you can see here, mountain of resources right on the outside, so you get a lot of copper and you get a lot of, I believe that's carbon. And all over this area is just carbon and copper, carbon and copper, carbon and copper. This area is just loaded with it, and you never have to really go too far to get set up. Now obviously the biggest problem is going to be iron, and also this is another thing while we're here. As you can see there, the spotlight comes by, and the reason why this is super good is because if you are a player who if you're looking to basically farm some XP, this is going to be a great location for you to farm XP fairly easy as well, since the spotlight always comes over here and hit this area. Now continuing on, just showing you some more of the resources that I talked about. Mountain of resources all over this location, and there's even some pretty nice camps all over this area as well. So if you for some reason want to get some extra blood or something like that, you can easily just come to these locations and be pretty good to go. I think this is arguably the best base location for a solo or small guild. So yeah, make sure you go pick this place up. All right, next let's talk about this base location, and I believe this is probably objectively the best late game base option. I think the hardest part about this base is going to be water, which you can get a little bit of water from the different outposts among the hills, but you're gonna definitely need a flying setup. But anyway, look at this absolute monster of a base setup. So not only do you have fuel, you have copper, you have aluminium, pretty much everything. You have pretty much every resource here. I don't know if there's iron here, but for the most part you have just short of access to every single one of the different elements. Look at all the different thick clusters of aluminium here, just a ton of it. Now this is located deep in the eastern shield wall over here near Imperial Testing Station number 17. I'm gonna just go down to Haga Basin South, come all the way up here, and then you have access to this massive area of things. Again, the hardest part is going to be water, and then even more so coming over here. Let's say you farm all these nodes here, come up here to this place up here. You'll notice there is a mountain of more resources, right? Mountain of more resources all up here. Coal, steel, I mean it just has so much resource here. But yeah, this is one of the best locations. I mean, you just have so much. Look at all this ore over here as well. This is such a resource dense area that I don't know how the alpha tribe doesn't come over here and live here. It's just such a great location. Sorry, one more time. And I just want to show off a little bit more resources. Once again, just absolute monster of resources in this zone. Like this is, I just can't imagine this not being the best base location. You could literally just farm all these mountaintops, rotate around, and you can just perpetually farm this if you have like a proper like clan. You can just have someone and their friend just like perpetually farm a rotation of these zones, and you would just literally have resources forever. Look at all these resources. I gotta get out of here because there's just so much resources. I could talk about this all day, so much of it. All right, next, located in the next to Station 76, not too far off from you know, the wreckage. Once again, everything's not far from the wreckage, I guess. There's gonna be this base location here. Now this is going to be a nice little base location if you have the capabilities of flying, because as you can see here, this has a plateau full of different kinds of ores and resources that you can easily farm and, you know, get a lot of value out of. Come up here, grab all these different resources. This is carbon, this one's aluminium, got some stone here, and then there's copper. So there's a good mixture of resources that you can easily get, you know, for your building. And then coming over here to the right, once again, there's another plateau that have resources down there. This one, I don't know if this one spawned resources, so in theory you could build up here. Again, you're gonna need some like flying stuff to really maximize this, but anyway, more resources up there. And then at the bottom here, as you can see there's a ton of different carbon that you can easily pick up. Tons of carbon resources, so carbon wouldn't even be a problem. Aluminium wouldn't be a problem. Copper wouldn't be that much of a problem. I guess the only thing that you really need to go look for is iron, but for the most part you can build here. Maybe you can even justify like just building in this bottom here area, and then just have the top. Like this is like right here is insane. Come to think of it, like this is super flat here, and you could easily set up a base right here. And then you have all these like sky boxes that have a ton of resources available to you. Again, they're going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass to get to. And then here, there's some water here too. Not a ton. Like at night, you could get some like decent water out of this. And then there's some NPC camps. Again, nothing too crazy on the water, I guess. This is a insane location for a base for a clan. Like I don't even know why we haven't built here, if I'm being honest. But yeah, super awesome base. Make sure you come pick this one up. I think it's like one of the best. All right, next, located here in the Haga Rift. This is a massive trench. I don't think you can really miss it, but coming from the southern region, you go all the way north, right here where I'm at in the Haga Rift. So why am I telling you to build here? This is a location that doesn't seem to have a ton of resources. We'll go to the resource map. Not a lot of resources. You got some decent copper, some things here and there. But why are we telling you to build here? Well, this game has a very unique bunker, this one right here. And the uniqueness of this bunker is you have access to this item called Earthite Crystal. And the significance of this item is, if you've ever played games like Ark and you're not familiar with this game, using Ark as a reference, this is the equivalent of cementing paste. And there's no frogs and there's no snails to convert it to cementing paste for you. So if you want to engage with some of the better crafted items, having these crystals that is very, very strong in this area, for example, is really, really important. My clan right now currently cannot progress without coming to this place like every 2 hours. Now we're pretty big and we're using a lot of resources, but for the most part, this is a pretty mandatory location. So from a perspective of like having water and iron and, you know, some of those other like plentiful resources you need, this isn't going to be one of those locations for it. But if you're talking about like probably one of the most objective important materials in the entire game, this is going to be an ideal location. You can have an outpost here. You can have like, I don't know if I would build a main base here, but like an outpost here would be okay. There's like carbon here where you can justify building up there or something and stuff like that. There's a little like an outpost here that you can get water from. It's a reasonable justification to build here. But most importantly, you just gotta remember, this is cementing base and you have to build with it. So yeah. All right, next, let's talk about this base location. And starting from Haga Basin, once again south, we're gonna come all the way up here, and this is once again to the northeast of the wreck of the palace, or whatever it's called. And this is gonna be a location that I think is one of the best. As you can probably tell looking at the resource map, this is one of the most resource dense areas in the entire game. and this is one of the best carbon and copper farming locations. As you can see here, copper, carbon, copper, carbon, copper, carbon. There's a ton of different resources in this area, and of course there is a mountain of camps, and this is probably one of the most like resource dense for water, as well as just carbon and you know, different kind of ores. Now you can probably tell here, there's a base here. This is my actual main base. I'm playing with a few people, by the way. That's why I have a main base, a secondary base. But as you can probably tell here, there is a mountain of carbon ore nearly constantly everywhere you go in this area. Like, you could in theory build up there, or you can build you know, up here. I think this would actually be an ideal build location up here. I'm built down here because, you know, initially you're going to probably start on the ground. And then you could easily take this place over and have this be your like main build area. And then over here, copper, more carbon all down there in copper, multiple massive nodes of tons of carbon over here on the side here. So as you can probably tell, there's just a ton of resources in this area that you can easily take advantage of. There's even a guy like living right there because this area is so sick. You can easily build a base up here once you get a little bit more flight capable and have, you know, your machinery coming down. You have this massive facility that has like 2 sets of intel and tons of NPCs, tons of like resources that you can easily farm in terms of water and stuff. You bring your water out there, your big blood distractors, you're good. And there's another NPC camp here that's really big, and there's just a lot of just really solid overall resources in this area. I would highly recommend you come here and build up at least an outpost, simply because from a carbon perspective it's just too good, and you'll have a massive like control of it. So yeah, and there you have it, guys. That's gonna be it for this one. Hopefully this video give you a better idea of some of the best base locations. I know the one in the Haga Rift is not necessarily the most resource dense, but having access to Cobalt paste is going to be like super big for you, especially if you're a little bit new to the game. So go ahead and go grab those base spots if you have the opportunity. Now, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'm going to be keeping you guys up to date on Dune Awakening. I have a ton more videos coming, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on that. Really appreciate you guys all being here, and I'll see you in the next one very soon.